how short I am.
You are short.
You know what?
You're 42.5 inches tall.
I'm taller than that.
Slightly. Shh. All right, get up here. Okay, folks. Welcome back. Steve here, KM9G, and...
Becca, KD9POK. I just got my call sign, and I'm super stoked.
Becca's had her call sign for a week now, so we had to get over the mic fright and get on the air today, and we had to get over the mic fright in the best way possible by also making a YouTube video out of it. This is the antenna shootout, the 2-meter antenna shootout. I got every 2-meter antenna that I had, and then I went out and bought some just for you guys. And we recorded this a while back from the time that you're seeing it. So by the time you see this, Becca will have had her call sign for like 3 weeks. So she's probably been on the air a couple more times since we started recording this. What we did, and this is kind of unforgivable, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. In a previous video, we plugged a, not really set up for this, UV5R, the amazing yellow fang of great repute, not ill repute, but great repute, into the dxcommander. This isn't the dxcommander, I can't hold it in my hand like that. And tested it out, and it worked. And so what we did today was we got all the 2-meter antennas that I had, all the 2-meter antennas that I made, all the 2-meter antennas that I bought, and the dxcommander, and we're doing a shootout. Guess who wins? The answer will surprise you. Trying for a little clickbait, even though you're already here. So MFJ 259 old school antenna analyzer. We swept them all just for reference. Tested them out on the yellow fang, and see if I can even get this thing in the frame. The Kenwood. Oh, there it is. TM281. And we had a couple of people help us out. You'll hear their call signs on the video. I'll put a shout out below in the description. And they did a fantastic job helping us out, totally unsolicited, and very welcome to have them here with us for this test. I am pretty surprised at what antennas worked and what antennas didn't. I'm not really surprised at all that the rubber duck didn't work. And then Leah, KD9LFZ, came in at the last minute. She just got off work, came in and bombed us and stole the grand finale, the dxcommander, and created herself a little pile-up on 2 meters on a dxcommander antenna. The repeater is WD0HWT. Let me double check that real quick.
W check it.
W check it. WD0HWT. It is a networked repeater in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I am in Luck, Wisconsin, and that's about 30 miles away to the nearest linked listening side in Scandia, Minnesota. The weather here is getting ready to thunderstorm in various parts of the repeater coverage area, and it is high 70s, low 80s, and fairly humid. All the antennas are put up on an antenna test rig, which we will show you. It's about as scientific as I can get with cheap old man garage parts, and what we were really trying to do was make sure that we tested things as similarly as possible. From a video of dxcommander talking with Rolly, I learned that having resonant antennas close to other resonant antennas was a problem, so I put the antennas about 50 feet apart, just so that they were farther away than what would make sense to couple a 2-meter antenna on. And we put them all up in the same condition. I did a little bit extra with the BuddiPole because I could. It's on an extendable painter's pole, and we put it low to the ground, and it didn't work, and then I put it up in the air, and it did work, so that was pretty cool. Outside of that, used the same connectors and the same adapters where possible, and the dxcommander itself was about 25 feet away or so. And it worked out pretty well. We used the same coax, which is DX Engineering's RG213, and I got the silver contacts. I don't know if they're plated or if they're solid silver, but I got the silver contacts and I made the ends up myself. And stick around and see how we do.
Yep.
Coming up. Here we have a pile of antennas and some coax and some adapters. You can see the adapters that we used here in the center. And this is where it all got started. I went around and collected all of the different antennas and tried to figure out how to get them all mounted. And we'll go over how they're all mounted and what the test rig looks like. The first thing that we have to go over is where the repeater is in relation to my QTH. I am up here at the top of the map in Luck, Wisconsin, and the nearest repeater listening site, this is a linked repeater site with listening stations all around the Twin Cities in Minnesota. The nearest listening site to us is about 27.6 miles away as the crow flies, according to this website. You can see some of the terrain here. We're above 1,200 feet on my end, and they're above 1,000 feet on their end, and you can see the St. Croix River in between us here. So not a whole lot in the way. We do go below ground a couple of times along the path, and I don't know if that's actual or if the antennas are up high enough or what, but it is what it is, and it's the same for every antenna, which is kind of what's important in this test. This is the test station. What I did was I pounded a piece of rebar into the ground and then put a piece of PVC pipe over top of that. The rebar sticks out of the ground maybe a foot, just enough to give it some stability. I used plastic clamps, trying to keep as much metal out of the test environment as possible. There is a little bit of metal bits in between here to make the clamp actually work, and then a piece of pine with a hole drilled in it where I actually mount all of the antennas. So all of the antennas are mounted up the same way. The dxcommander, which gets featured in this video later on, is about 50 feet away to the south, and the antennas that are not part of the test are about 50 feet away to the east. So this way they are not coupling, and if they are coupling in any way, they're all coupling in the same way. So the test is still as accurate as I can make it. The first antenna that we put on the test rig was the Nagoya NA771. This is an HT antenna that everybody is familiar with. This is probably one of the more standard upgrades once you get your HT, is to get this Nagoya antenna for it. This is the rubber duck antenna that comes with the Baofeng radio. This is the super elastic signal stick antenna, and the proceeds of this antenna go to support hamstudy.org. And you can see some of the adapters that we use down here in the bottom to connect it up to the existing coax. The coax that I used is the same piece of coax that runs into my shack for every single antenna that we tested today. We used the exact same amount of coax, and the only addition would be whatever coax came with the antenna in question in order to get it connected. This is the 18.8-inch Abri, followed by the 28.3-inch Abri, followed by the 42.5-inch Abri. Next up is the 2-meter ground plane that I made out of some old house wire. I am so proud of this antenna. It was a very difficult build. What I did was looked up 2-meter ground plane. I grabbed the measurements, I cut the wire, I screwed the 4 ground plane wires into the SO239 chassis mount connector and soldered the vertical into the center pin and ran with it. I didn't do any tuning. I didn't do anything other than cut the wires and put the thing together, and it worked out pretty well. This is the KD9 POK 2-meter tape measure Yagi antenna that Becca built, and we have this pointed off in a westerly direction, which is as close as we can figure where in the range of where the Scandia, Minnesota repeater listening station is. This is the Surmen X50 that we call the Comet clone throughout the video. This is a Alibaba Express shipped antenna. The additional piece of coax that you see coming out of the bottom of the PVC here is the piece that came with it. Next up we have the BuddiPole configured for 2-meter dipole operation, and these masts here are pulled out 15 inches on each side according to the instructions. Did no more tuning than that. We've got Becca in the picture, KD9 POK for scale, so you can see how high off the ground that is. We put it at this height on purpose because this was the shortest that we could get it on the rig that we had. And then just for a bonus, I also raised this painter's pole up as high as I could get it, just for the test, just to see how well it worked. This is a 2-meter J-pole. I've got a close-up picture, but I wanted to show you the rigging of how it was. This may or may not give it an unfair advantage. The feed point is right here towards the bottom, but it's just the shape of the antenna that gets it up that high. I pulled the white piece of PVC off of the piece of rebar that was in the ground and put this piece of PVC on top of that same piece of rebar, and then this black line here is the lead of coax with the SMA connector on the end of it that hooks into the coax that runs into the shack. This is a little bit of a close-up of the J-pole that I built. So you can see the notch cutout up here and where the feed point is, and the J part of the connector down here. And then you can see the dxcommander antenna hiding behind it. This is the dxcommander Classic. And then lastly, in the test lineup is the 2-meter mag mount that most people have running on their cars. So let's get into doing some testing.
All right, we are on the Nagoya NA771. And this is sleeping again. Wake up.
Me in the morning. Becca, get out of bed.
All right, we're going to check the SWR and stuffs, because that's professional. All right, 144.0. We have about 1.6 to 1 SWR and 10 ohms of resistance. So let's go up to 148.0. And we got, we have 1.7 to 1 SWR.
All the SWRs.
And 20 ohms of resistance. So doubled the resistance, but only upped the SWR a little bit. There you go. Okay, we have the Nagoya NA771 attached. We have it attached to the yellow Baofeng UV5R. So Baofeng. And we're going to see if we can kerchunk the repeater if we don't have any more interruptions from the peanut gallery.
Hello there, this is Curly the dog.
Okay, no kerchunk. Let's try that again. And we got nothing. KD9 POK, testing out an antenna. Can anybody hear me? All right, we got nothing. Let's go to the Kenwood. All right, we have the Negu.
the Nebula. No, the Nagoya.
Nagoya, same difference.
Nagoya? No.
We have the Nagoya NA771 connected to the Kenwood TM281 because I can read letters but not numbers. So let's see if we can chunk the repeater. Okay, nothing. Let's try that again. Still nothing, so I'm going to try talking to it just because.
Hello, Nagoya? Hello? Are you there? Nagoop, do you copy? Nagoop.
I did not say that. Okay. KD9 POK, testing out an antenna. Can anybody hear me?
Nothing.
I'm going to take that as a no. All right. That did not work. Let's go try another antenna.
All right, this is the rubber duck that comes with the Baofeng radios, and I'm actually kind of interested to see what this thing looks like. Let's yoink on down to 144. And what do we got? Not bad. 20 ohms of resistance and a little more than 1 to 1, maybe 1.01 on the SWR. Let's go up.
That's like, maybe it's 1 to 1.0. It's great SWR.
All right, so we're almost 1.2 to 1 SWR, and about 25 ohms of resistance. So that antenna actually did a little bit better than I thought it would, but there still could be a rock inside of that rubber duck. We don't know. Let's stick it on a radio and see what happens. All right, rubber duck on coax. I don't think anybody's ever done this but me, and I really shouldn't be doing this myself. Let's see what we get. And I'm shocked. I'm getting nothing.
What? That's really strange. I was definitely expecting 20 people to jump on you immediately.
Kilo Mike 9 Golf. This here's the rubber duck. Anybody out there? Okay, rubber duck on the TM281 at 50 watts. Maybe we can melt this thing. And I'm kerchunking on my end, but it's not kerchunking on the other end. KM9G testing a rubber duck at 50 watts. Uncharted territory. Well, somebody's charted it, I'm sure. This is KM9G. Anybody out there? And one more for good measure. KM9G is the third time the charm. Can anybody hear me? Not a word. Not surprised. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised.
Hey, it's KD9LFZ. I just got back from work, and so I am just jumping right in on this video. This is a total video bomb, but it's going to be worth it. So we got our super elastic signal stick, and every one of those bought, all the proceeds from that is going to go to hamstudy.org, which it's a free website. I've used it for all my tests so far. And you use it, and you run through all the questions. It helps you pass your test super easy. And now you can even schedule online testing sessions through that. So this video is not sponsored by hamstudy.org. We are sponsoring them, which is awesome. So we are going to go to the bottom of the band, which is 140. 144. Yeet. Too far. Okay. So close. I'm going to be struggling with this for forever.
Doesn't have to be exact.
Yes, it does, Becca. It has to be exact. So right now we're at a little bit below 1.5 SWR and about 1.5 ohms of resistance. And then we're going to go up to the top of the band.
1.5. Wait, 1.5 ohms of resistance?
Read the resistance again.
15.
15 sounds better.
Yeah, 15. I am blind as a bat. Okay, and then we're going to go up to the top of the band, which I believe is 148.
Yep.
0. And we're still at about a 1.5 SWR. And now we're at about 25 ohms of resistance. So pretty good the whole way through.
All right, UV5R hooked up to the super elastic signal stick. Same repeater.
Kerchunk.
And we only opened it once, folks. All right, let's switch radios and try again. All right, back on the Kenwood at 50 watts. Probably way too much power for this antenna, but we're not going to be on it for too long. And we opened up the repeater. Good. Kilo Mike 9 Golf on the super elastic signal stick hooked up to the Kenwood TM281. Can anybody hear me? Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing the super elastic signal stick. Can anybody hear me? All right, I heard you. I appreciate the feedback. We're going to go switch antennas. Thank you very much.
We got a response.
Okay, this is the Abbree 42.5 inch Abbree. And I'm doing the sweep 144.0. And we're a little bit less than 1.2 to 1 SWR at 20 ohms of resistance. And it dipped down a bit around 145. And 148 is at 1.2 to 1 at 28, 29. ohms of resistance. The scale's not terribly precise, so you tell me what you think that is. Not too bad. Okay, apparently I am boring the MFJ analyzer. It has gone to sleep. This is the 42.5-inch Abri antenna. Let's see how well this one works out. It's connected up to the Kenwood TM281A at 50 watts. All right, we can open the repeater with it. This is KM9G. I'm testing a 42.5-inch long Abri antenna. How can you hear me on this one?
K0 Delta Oscar Mike. Sounds good. Not quite as good as before, maybe, but good enough. Over.
All right, I appreciate the feedback. I'm going to switch to a lower powered radio, and I don't think you're going to be able to hear me on this one. I tried it a little earlier. Sneak peek on that one. I couldn't resist. So let's switch it over, and I'll try it again. Hang on 1 second. Okay, this is the 42.5-inch Abri on the Baofeng in-frame UV5R. So we're opening the repeater. Kilo Mike 9 Golf on the 42.5-inch Abri antenna. Can anybody hear me here? All right, let's switch back. This is KM9G. I put out 2 calls on the UV5R on the Abri 42.5-inch antenna, but I don't think anybody heard me on that one. This is back on the Kenwood at 50 watts.
Yeah, roger that. K0 Delta Oscar Mike here. Yeah, you broke squelch, but there was nothing but noise. Over.
All right, copy that. The next direction is to go shorter on the Abri, so I don't know if you're going to hear me on that, but it's definitely worth a test on 50 watts to see if you can hear me. And I'm pretty sure since you didn't hear me on the 5 watts, you probably won't hear me on 5 watts on the shorter antennas. I will be right back. Thank you. 28.3 inches of Abri. This is just amazing. 148.0 is a 21 resistance, and depending on what angle I'm looking at the meter, we're at 1-to-1 SWR on that. Let's sweep her down. This one doesn't bounce as much as the 42.5, and I just went right past the bottom of the band. This one doesn't bounce as much. This is the 28.3 again. 144.0. 25 ohms of resistance at 1.1-to-1. Not bad. All right, 28.3-inch Abri antenna hooked up to the UV5R. And I am not breaking squelch on that. I'm not hearing back from the repeater. Let's switch it over to the Kenwood. Right. This is the Kenwood TM281, 50 watts on the 28.3 inch Abri. All right, we got into the repeater and heard back from it. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing the 28.3 inch Abri antenna on the Kenwood TM281. Can anybody hear me?
Full quieting again, a little more noise this time. The Abri, is that weird one that unfolds into a big long flat thing? Over.
Exactly. This is the antenna that comes in about 6 different lengths. I've got 3 of them here that I'm testing out. The 42.5, which you heard before. This is the 28.3 that you're hearing now. And then the next one to come up is 18.8 inches. These are all designed to go into handhelds and make you really tactical. And I've got it probably into 75 foot of coax sitting out at my test point on the yard. And when it's all done, there'll be a nice video showing how these are all hooked up and what the test rig is, and some thoughts on how scientific and unscientific it is.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, no, there's definitely a little more noise on this, the shorter one versus the other one, at least from my ear. Yeah, I hope you show in the video actually walking around with that thing on there. That should be fun to see. Over.
Yeah, at 42.5 inches, it's almost as tall as, my daughter's looking at me funny. It's almost as tall as my daughter, who is taller than 42.5 inches tall. It's not working at all on the handheld. The handheld's just not putting out enough power to break into the repeater. I already tried the handheld and didn't get any response back. I don't even think I opened up the squelch on the repeater itself on this antenna.
Yeah, well, that's asking a lot from a handheld out there from Luck, Wisconsin. That's a good haul in any case, though. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Just stand by if you need any more help. Give a holler. Over.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm going to switch to the 18.8 inch antenna. I'm going to run the sweep on it. I'm going to test it on the Baofeng, and then I'm going to test it again on the Kenwood. You might hear me on that. So I will be right back. KM9G, clear for a bit. Okay, so the antenna analyzer got put to sleep again, and this is interesting. There's no way to wake it up except for to turn it off. So it's just taking battery power. I mean, in this case, I've got it plugged into the mains, as they say. But sometimes I think people don't use the tools that they create, because that would have been pretty obvious. Hey, it went to sleep. How do I wake it up? Oh, you don't? All right. So this is the 18.8 inch Abri, and we're at 144.0 at a little over 1 to 1. I don't know. I would say that's 1.08 to 1 SWR, just to be pedantic. And 20 ohms of resistance. Let's switch it up to 148. And I'm just watching it bounce. 148. And we're at 20 ohms of resistance still, and we're at 1.2 to 1 SWR. So not too bad. Now let's hook it up to a radio and see what we got. All right, we are testing the 18.8 inch Abri on the UV5R. And I can't break squelch. This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf, testing an 18.8 inch Abri antenna on a Baofeng UV5R. Any copy? KM9G, any copy? KM9G, KM9G, looking for a response? And nothing. Okay, this is the 18.8 inch Abri on the Kenwood TM281, Kilo Mike 9 Golf. Can anybody hear me?
Delta, I hear you 5x2.
All right, I appreciate the comeback on that. I already tested it on the Baofeng at 5 watts, and I don't think anybody heard me. I was able to hear, but I was not able to be heard.
Friends, that I'm only going to be on for a short.
All right, I appreciate the comeback. Thank you very much. This is KM9G, and I'll be clear. This is the 2-meter ground plane antenna that I made out of house wire. And this antenna and the tape measure Yagi antenna, when we made these, we only measured. We didn't really do any tuning at all. This one was just straight out of the books, measured, cut, and put on the air. So let's see, 144.0-ish is 1.2 to 1 SWR at 30 ohms of resistance. And let's sweep up the band. Oh, it dips down a bit around 146. And then at 148.0, we're still at 1.2 to 1 and 20 ohms of resistance. Pretty good.
TFN. AC0QJF.
Okay, so it receives really good on this. Let's see if we can transmit on it. All right, we're getting the repeater tail back. So that was good. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, testing an antenna. Can anybody hear me on this antenna? Kilo Mike 9 Golf, testing a 2 meter ground plane antenna about 2 feet off the ground. Can anybody hear me on this one? All right, so I'm opening the repeater, but I'm not getting anywhere. Let's try it on the Kenwood with some more power. KM9G, testing a 2 meter ground plane. Can anybody hear me on this antenna? So we're opening up the repeater again, but no response yet. KM9G, testing a 2 meter ground plane antenna. Can anybody hear me?
K0 Delta Oscar Mike can hear you.
Delta Oscar Mike, thanks for coming back. How does it sound?
Sounds excellent. Full quieting. No problem.
All right, I appreciate the feedback. This is a homemade 2 meter ground plane antenna made out of some old house wire that's about 2 feet off the ground.
A very small amount of static in the background, but I'd have to be listening for it. Over.
All right, I appreciate the feedback. We're going to go try yet another antenna. Thank you very much. KM9G clear.
Okay. We are on the tape measure Yagi directional antenna. So I'm going to go to the bottom of the band and check the SWR and stuff.
Nice.
That is really nice. It's a 1-to-1 SWR and about 25 ohms of resistance at the bottom. So let's go to the top. That's a lot of SWR.
It's actually not that bad. So, I mean, you went from 1 to 1.6.
Yeah. So it's not terrible. It's just more than I was expecting. And then we got
20.
20 ohms of resistance.
So what Becca's not telling you is that she made this antenna herself
Oh, yes.
out of some PVC and some tape measure parts. That's why we call it the tape measure Yagi, in case you didn't catch on to that already. All right, let's put it on the air and see what happens.
Okay. Okay, we got the tape measure Yagi directional antenna connected to Dad's special yellow Baofeng UV5R, which is definitely going to work because it's yellow.
UV5 Army. Or not. Oh, hey, I spoke too soon. We got a little bit of a tail back.
Want me to try it again?
Put your call out there. KD9POK doing an antenna test.
KD9POK doing an antenna test. KD9POK doing an antenna test.
So on a repeater, sometimes you have to ask for an answer, or it could just be that this isn't really doing too well getting there. So try asking somebody to get back to you.
Okay. KD9POK doing an antenna test. Can anybody hear me? Works.
All right, let's switch radios.
Okay. All right. Tape measure Yagi directional antenna on the Kenwood something.
TM281.
Dad knows. So let's try to get into the repeater.
Nothing.
That's weird. Because it worked with the Baofeng.
It anecdotally worked with the Baofeng. Try again. All right, now let's see if anybody's out there.
But nobody heard us. Where do you talk on the mic? There's like no... Oh, there's a hole.
So there's a little tiny hole right in the middle of the microphone. That's what you talk into.
Hi. KD9 POK doing an antenna test. Can anybody hear me? You can only hear a little bit of what you said, so we're going to try a different antenna. Okay, so this is the Comet clone antenna. So I'm going to go to 144.0, that's 5. And we have a little bit more than a 1 to 1.5 SWR and about 50 ohms of resistance. And if we go to the top of the band, it's 8.0, we have a 1-to-1 SWR and a little over 20 ohms of resistance. So the SWR is really good for that.
This is the Comet clone on the Kenwood at 50 watts. All right, we opened up the repeater. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing a Comet clone antenna. Can anybody hear me on this one?
This is KC0QJS. Were you testing other antennas and everything? Because this one is fully quietly and you don't have any noise interrupting. It's perfectly quiet. It can hear you perfectly. Nothing behind you having any problem.
Yeah, I'm the guy that's been testing antennas all day. I'm here with Becca, KD9POK, and we are playing around with some 2-meter antennas we have laying around, seeing which ones are good and which ones are bad. And I heard you that this one's pretty good. Let me switch over to a lower power radio and see if it's still just as good.
Okay, I can do that. I have my phone in my left ear, but I think she don't mind if I do this, just because she's sitting at home being bored, so she's calling me, so she might have some enjoyment from hearing me doing this. So I don't mind doing 2 things at once. KC0QJS.
Sounds like fun on your side too. I'm changing antennas now. Hang on one second. All right, plugging in the yellow UV5R. This one works best only because it's yellow. All right, we can hear good. This is KM9G. This is a yellow Baofeng UV5R radio on the same antenna. How does this one sound? All right, I'm guessing this one doesn't sound at all for you. Any copy on this radio? All right, let's switch her back and close out that one. Okay, I switched over to a Baofeng UV5R and put out 2 calls on that one and didn't get any response. I'm guessing you didn't hear me?
Correct. I did not hear you at all until this second. And you were fully quieted on this one.
Okay, this is back on the Kenwood TM281 at 50 watts. So that's probably most of the difference, is going from about 4 or 5 watts up to 50 watts.
I understand, but like I said, I heard you fully quieting on this, and they had just enough background where you know that the normal transmission for radio is 2 act, but otherwise you were perfectly quiet.
All right, thank you very much. KM9G, clear for now. Okay, this is the BuddiPole configured for 2 meters. And in order to configure for 2 meters, you use whips only, and you get it 15 inches on both sides. And that's how we've got it. So let's take a look at what this one looks like. .144.0 is about a 1.2 to 1. I know it's 144.1. Work with me here. And 20 ohms of resistance. Let's go up to the top. Dips down about 147. 148.0. 20 ohms of resistance. And we're at 1.2 to 1. Let's try it on some radios. All right, Baofeng testing on the BuddiPole. All right, no kerchunks. This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing the BuddiPole closer to the ground. Is this copyable? Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing the BuddiPole antenna closer to the ground. We're probably 4-5 feet off the ground. I heard you, but I doubled up a little bit. Can you repeat, please?
Basically, didn't make it in at all. I caught like a half a syllable last time. W0, and I'll be clear for a moment.
Okay, so the BuddiPole closer to the ground doesn't work as well as it does in the air. No surprise there. And like I said, that was a bonus test, getting it a little higher up in the air. Let's go switch antennas. So I wanted to go ahead and just give it a little bonus shot on the raised up as high as I can raise it setup. Not really good for the test parameters of all the other antennas, but it was out, it was there, I just had to do it. And in case you didn't know it, height makes might. Let's try, see if anybody can hear me. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing. And we're getting a good repeater tail.
AC0QJS is also out here.
All right, you're coming in pretty good on my end. How's my signal sound to you?
Got some noisy background, but you're breaking through it to the point where I hear every word you're asking. But you got what we call scratching noise behind you, where it wants to compete with you.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to try it on a different radio. It's probably going to be worse. Give me half a second to switch antennas. This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf. Can you hear me on this radio? Sounds like no copy on this radio. Kilo Mike 9 Golf. Checking? Well, there you have it. Let's switch back to the other radio and let him know that we could not be heard.
Okay, so the band is 144.0 to 148. So let's go to 144.
And this is the roll-up J-pole on the antenna analyzer.
Yes. We have a 1 to 1.5 SDBR and 20 ohms of resistance.
Okay.
20-something resistance. Then we go up to 148. And we got almost a 1-to-1 SWR and 25 ohms of resistance. So that's pretty good.
All right.
So we have the J-pole antenna up in the air, and I'm going to see if it works. We got something. Okay, there you go.
KD9 POQ doing
K, not Q.
I did it again. KD9POK doing a mic check. Is anybody out there? Can anybody hear me? right, great. I'm about 30 miles away on a handmade roll-up J-pole. How does it sound?
You're readable, scratchy. I hear you are Comet, but you're also scratchy.
Okay, sounds good. We're doing an antenna test today for a video that we're recording, and we're going to try a different lower power radio. You probably won't be able to hear us on this one.
Delta 9 Papa Oscar Kilo.
Make sure you're on the right VFO by switching to...
Your transmission is scratchy, but we hear you fine. You're in the system 98%, but we can tell that you're far out, distance.
All right, now hit it. All right. Hit it again. All right, sounds good. Can you hear me on this radio? Hit it again. Any copy on this radio?
Kilo Foxtrot 0 Alpha Mike Echo.
So that's a no.
Last check. KD9POK, KD9POK. Any copy on this radio? All right, folks. Looks like no copy on this radio. Let's try the next setup. Okay, this is the mag mount antenna that's sitting on top of the red car out in the test field. And we are on 2 meters with an MFJ 259. And at the bottom of the band, 144.0, we're hitting a little over 2.0, maybe 2.1 to 1, with a resistance of 10 ohms, which is not the best in the world. And the top of the band is 148. Let's go up to 148. Let's use the right knob. To 148. And we are still at 2 to 1, and we've come up to 20 ohms of resistance. And you can see that it's pretty solid. At 2 to 1. But the resistance moves around a bit from 10 ohms up to about 40 ohms. All right, let's take a look at the next one. This is the mag mount connected to the Baofeng UV5R on the 2585 repeater that's about 30 miles away from here. And we're getting no response. Okay. This is the Kenwood TM281 hooked up to the same mag mount antenna. Just so you believe me, click, click, nothing. And see if we can get a front view of it. Click, click, nothing. All right, next. The moment you've all been waiting for. I know I have.
I called the dxcommander. It's mine, Becca. Find that.
I'm actually recording that.
We did record it.
Oh, awesome.
When Dad thinks we're not recording the epicness that always ensues.
I dropped the dust.
So, I'm back in the hot seat again, this time with what I think is the most epic combination ever. But first, we're gonna sweep it. So,
Sweep the antenna.
sweep it!
By the way, what is it?
Yeah, what
Oh,
antenna?
yeah, the dxcommander.
dxcommander. dxcommander.
Woo, woo! Okay, that's quite enough of that. Okay, so
Miss me with that nonsense.
you have been missed. Not actually. So we are yoinked all the way down to 144.0. Our SWR is off the charts because I didn't put the antenna in. Oh
Hey,
no.
can I be in the hot seat? You don't seem competent.
Qualified. Maybe this will change something. Okay. Now we are at 144.0 with the antenna plugged in. And our SWR is pretty much a 1-to-1. That is really good. And we have 20 ohms of resistance. Now, yeeting up to the top. 148.0. We are at about a 1 to 1.1 SWR. And 23 ohms of resistance. So, still pretty decent. Now, this is the moment I have been waiting for. So here we have the UV5R. Here we have the coax for the DX Commander. And what are we going to do?
We're gonna throw them both away.
That would be a waste of a DX Commander. And I'm pretty sure Dad would be kicked out of the YouTuber sponge.
Hang my head in shame.
Okay, so let's kerchunk it and see what happens. Oh, it kerchunked.
We got something back.
Okay, so let's see if anybody can hear me. KD9 LFZ testing the UV5R with the DX Commander. Can anybody hear me?
Echo 0, Alpha Hotel Uniform.
Woo!
Turn it up.
AC 0.
She's making a pile up.
I can't remember either of their call signs.
That's alright.
Thanks, I heard you guys both loud and clear on my end, so thanks for responding to the test. Have a great day. KD9 LFZ. That is epic. The best ham radio combination on the planet.
The gateway drug of ham radio?
You broke up too hard for me to even figure what you said.
And the gateway drug of antennas. Alright, let's switch antennas over to the Kenwood and give those boys a better earful.
She thanked us for getting back. She could hear us, and I could hear all three of you. All two of you.
Okay, we are going to switch it over now.
This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf. I am in Luck, Wisconsin, and the weather is humid and hot over here. I haven't looked at the temperature in a while, but it's probably high 70s at this point. We were on a Baofeng UV5R hooked up to a DX Commander all-band vertical classic, and you guys could hear us a little bit at about 5 watts. We're at 50 watts now. How do we sound?
Ever so slightly a little bit crackling, but coming in pretty good. There were three of us, I think, in this round table. This is Kilo Echo 0, Alpha Hotel Uniform in Shorewood, Minnesota.
All right, and who's the next one?
I'm in Robbinsdale, KC0QJS, and that it's cloudy, it's not raining yet, but I hear it's raining in Bloomington. So it's coming this direction, but it's not here correct right now. I'm just trying to put some input on the weather of where I am located wise.
Well, thank you so much for responding, and have a great day. We got a little bit of pile up, a little bit of round table discussion, talk to some cool people. Talk to some cool people, so I think this is a success.
You're not that short. Get up here. All right. This thing yeeted in at the last minute and stole the spotlight.
Of course, it's what I do best.
As usual. So I was pretty surprised at some of those results. We had a rubber duck. We had a Nagoya NA771. We had a super elastic signal stick. We had a homemade roll-up J-pole. We had a homemade 2-meter ground plane. We had a homemade 2-meter Yagi. we had Abbree! All kinds of Abbree! The 18.8, the 20 something, the 42.5, and then we started getting into the Comet clone and the mag mount, and I think that's it. Which one did you do again?
The dxcommander.
Oh, yeah, of course. She came in and stole the spotlight.
Of course, you know, big ticket item, big ticket person.
You've seen all of the results at this point. So let us know what you think about this one. This was pretty fun to do. I had a lot of fun. I got KM9G, me. I got KD9 LFC, and I got the brand new KD9 POK. And I said POQ so many times. Shouldn't have done that at all. KD9 POK, brand new call sign, brand new test. Congratulations, Becca, on making your tech. And get back to studying. Get that general. And thanks to Ham Study for helping Becca study and putting together the remote testing session. If you didn't catch the remote testing stuff, check out that video on remote testing. And I even looked at it myself. Leave some comments below on what you thought about the antenna shootout and our perfectly scientific high production value testing. If there's anything else you'd like to see me test.
UV5 Army, am I right?
UV5 Army. If there's anything else you'd like for us to test out, any other questions you have on these antennas or anything like that, leave a comment below and we will get to it in a future video. If there's a spec that I left out that you were curious about, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy YouTube stuff. And if you didn't like this video, if this one made you mad, hit that dislike button.
No haters!
No haters. All right, guys. Thanks for being awesome.
I wanted to say it.
Okay, say it.
All right, guys. Thanks for being awesome.
All right, fine. She did it better than I did.